welcome to episode 12 of the Just Run podcast with me, Rhys Morgan.
And me, Nathan Marshall.
Apologies last week that the question and answer episode that we had planned didn't go ahead. Do not worry about that, though. We've kept all of the amazing questions. We had such a good response, and we'll be covering those off in some future episodes. Tonight, we're going to be diving into the wild world of adventure with the one and only Dr. Becca Salmon, although I'm now well informed that she does not like being called that, so I'll be calling her Becca or something else throughout this. She's not just your average doctor. Becca has been working in the Arctic, conquered mountains and brave jungles, and whether she's teaching others her skill or stitching up a wound, she's also in the process of running towards finish lines and becoming an aspiring triathlete. So it'd be amazing to catch up with her in a moment. Before we do that, though, I just want to catch up with Nathan because I haven't seen you. Well, I was going to say I haven't seen you for a while, but it was last week. But let's just have a little catch up and a rundown of how things have been going, really. First of all, how was your training going for the Wales Coastal Path, Nathan?
It took a bit of a dip because where I changed over to Topo, the road shoe, it kind of wrecked my knees a bit. So I've binned the road shoe one. Trail one's okay, but the road shoe is too flat for me. So I had to take about 2 weeks off properly. Just hit the gym. Got back out with you on Saturday at its Friday run. Felt great. Went out again Sunday with the wife. Knocked off another 11 miles with the wife.
Nice.
It was quite funny. It was quite funny actually, Sunday, 'cause it was the first time she's ever hit 11 miles, and she turned around to me and said, "This is fucking taking me longer than it does childbirth because all her labours have been really quick." She said, "Fucking childbirth is easier than running this."
Well,
but,
I mean, that is
she
insane.
did knock it out.
That is insane. What an attitude that is. I mean, if that doesn't inspire you to run, I don't know what does.
I think she hit a PB in the 10K, 15K, 10 mile, and obviously 11 mile. So I said to her, "That's why you're struggling because you've just hit PBs and all these distances. You're going a lot faster than you normally do."
That's what I mean. She's got to continually hit them now going forward. She's got to. She set that bar high.
I think she wants to get to 12 now next weekend, and then I'll be at them before the Bigmoose fun run.
Nice, man. A question about your topos, mate. You said about the running out with them. Have you tried them on the treadmill? Like, obviously, we all know the science behind treadmills and stuff, so a little bit less traumatic.
Yeah, I did a run, an hour run on them on the treadmill when I first had it. And I felt a bit of pain, but I just thought that was like where I've been training so much, but that pain's gone more over the last couple of weeks for them. So yeah, I'm not going to risk it. It's a shame because it's such a nice light shoe. The toe box is amazing. Yeah, I'm gutted.
Yeah, I've seen them firsthand now. After the Bigmoose event, I had a little feel of it, and it is a super lightweight trainer, and yeah, they look really good. And yeah, it's just a pity. I had, so obviously I saw you on the Saturday. I had the Speed Goat 5s delivered last week, so I christened them.
Weren't they bright yellow to start with, and it ended up shit fucking muddy colour?
Bright yellow to start with, and basically black and minging by the end. Broke my heart a little bit, but it's my mistake. I bought the wrong colour, really stupid. But yeah, I did. You went on the Saturday and the Sunday. I ran on the Friday and the Saturday. So I did 21 on the Friday, and then which was not planned. So I did 15. Ran up to Tongwynlais, Serang Castle Cork and Forest Fair and all that, and then stopped in the First Light Coffee for a real nice latte, thinking I'd get a bus home, forgetting that there was public holiday. So there was no buses. Well, they were, but they were all really delayed. So I was running to bus stops thinking I could just get on a bus because my legs, I only wanted to do 15. But obviously the further I ran, the closer I got home. So in the end, I just ran all the way home. So it turned out to be a lot further than expected. And then I had to, obviously we did the why we run on the Saturday because my wife was away. I had to run to Tongwynlais again to meet you guys, which was 8 miles before we even started running, and then do 6 or 7 miles that we did up through the mud and stuff. But really great day, man. Saturday was superb. I loved it. I've met a few of the people from the Why We Run community. Um, but I met everyone and had a really good chat with everyone. It was just such a lovely day. They're a great bunch of people, and looking forward to the next one. I think Lewis told me it's the 27th down their way. So I'm going to see. I don't know about you, Nate, but I'm going to see if I can get down there and have a little gallop with them.
It's a 3 hour drive, mind Boxhill.
Mm.
Yeah.
That changes things somewhat. I'm certainly not running there.
No, I think Dan's planning on doing quite a few Welsh ones because there's quite obviously a lot of people from Cardiff running them.
Perhaps we can do it one day instead of driving, get a train down or something. Be a bit easier. We can have a kip on the train.
Yeah, we'll
See
find
what
somewhere
happens.
halfway.
Yeah, we'll find somewhere. Somewhere.
Yeah, Delu.
Yeah. Right then. I mean, let's kick it off with I have a strong urge to just keep calling the Dr. Becca Salmon. I know you're there in the background. I'm really sorry, but Becca, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me. I could literally sit and listen to you talk about trail running all day. I'm just there like talking about running shoes and trail runs and like why we run. Like that is actually my favorite thing to talk about. So thank you for having me on.
Thank
No
you for
problem.
coming on. Thank you for coming on. I mean, for anybody who's listening who doesn't know about Becca's journey, I mean, she is, as I said in the intro, no ordinary doctor. However, you have been there, and we'll come to that in a second. And instead of me going off on a tangent and talking about it, uh, can you just give us a little rundown of obviously your background, what you do, and how you got to where you are now, really? Because I'll admit Nathan introduced me to you. I've not seen your profile or anything, or even met you prior to this, and I was blown away. Your profile made me seriously sick with jealousy. So yeah,
Oh, that's really nice to hear. And I thought your introduction earlier, you made me sound like I was way more impressive than I actually feel like I am. But I'll completely take it. But yeah, for those who don't know me, I'm Becca or Dr. Becca Salmon is the official title, I guess. And I am a junior doctor working in the NHS. And that's what I've been kind of training to do. But over the past few couple of years, I've been doing event and expedition medicine as well. So this is basically working as a doctor all over the world, helping people do adventure tourism. So this could be either climbing Kilimanjaro, going to the Arctic, hiking through the jungle, and even working some ultra marathons around the world. So I've worked quite a few ultra marathons, and that's actually how I got into ultra marathons myself, because I was sat watching all these people run these ultra marathons, and I was going, I think I could do that, you know? So watched someone run 100 kilometers and then decided I was going to do it too. So that's how I went from being a quite a casual runner to being an ultra runner alongside being a running doctor too.
How
awesome.
long ago was that, Beck?
How long ago did I start running, or how long ago did I do an ultra marathon?
How long ago did you start running? And then from start running to when you actually did your first ultra.
Oh, so I did that classic thing where I wasn't a runner at all, and then COVID happened, and suddenly the gym and the netball team wasn't there anymore. So I was like, how am I going to survive this? I'm not going to survive this pandemic. And I went out on my first run in March 2020, on that first week, and I did about 1 kilometer and then died. And I thought this was gonna be like a 3 week thing. You know how COVID was meant to be a 3 week thing? So I was like, it's 3 weeks of my life. I can do 3 weeks of running. And then obviously it ended up being a lot longer thing. And so this whole running went on for a while as well. But I didn't do my first ultra marathon until it was September last year, so about 6 months ago. So it took me 3.5 years to build up to going into an ultra marathon. I didn't know what they were for so long anyway.
So it was only September last year you ran your first ultra.
Yeah. So
That's nuts.
I'd done a couple marathons before, but I hadn't really classed myself as a proper runner. And then I decided I signed up for the Ultra-X Morocco 110 kilometers.
Oh, nice. I've seen the
Uh,
pictures this year. It looks stunning.
it was the most incredible event ever. But I thought that can't be my first one, so I thought I'll do a few kind of leading up to it because Morocco was like my A race. So I did the Ultra X England 50 in September, and then did a Maverick one, and then did the Why We Run 2 day, and then did Morocco. And did that all in the space of like 2 months. So I went from never doing an ultra marathon to doing 6 within 7 weeks.
Nice.
And then I
That's
was like, you know
incredible.
what? I think I'm an ultra runner.
It's amazing, and it's quite refreshing to hear you say that. Actually, that first of all, it took you like 3 years or 3.5 years to do it, because actually, a lot of the people you've had on have done it the other way around, where they've kind of barely run a marathon and then gone, you know what, I'm going to do an ultra. So at least you've given yourself time to build up to it. But then, then in hindsight, you've done 7 in 6 weeks, or was it the other way around? That's
Yeah.
astonishing.
And I always look at these people who like started running and then jumped up. It's like I don't know whether it's really impressive or I feel really sad for them as well, because obviously it's amazing if you started running and then you go do your first half marathon, then marathon, and then ultra. It's like it's great that you progress so quickly. But then part of me is like, the best part of it was that I was awful at running and I've slowly got better and I've slowly got confident and I've slowly built up these things, and it's taken me time. My journey's been so long and I really enjoyed it and spread it out. It's like if you go from running and starting running and then 3 months later running a marathon, where's that journey? Where's the fun?
Yeah, that's part of the most enjoyable part of running is the journey. Absolutely, you couldn't have said it any more perfect than that. Like I've, it took me a long time to do an ultra. I always wanted to do one, and I think my first one was 2021, which was 30 miles. Prior to that, I'd done the 7 halves in 7 days for the NHS during COVID, and like yes, it was painful, it hurt, and it sucked at times. But I remember every single run and like, all my training and stuff leading up to it. And it's good because you just, it's part of the journey. I feel like you said, is if you can do it, if you can jump from a half marathon to running 100 kilometers or 100 miles, like high five, I take my hat off to you. But also, yeah, I feel like you're missing the fun part. And Jenks said it in one of the last episodes we had. Sorry, Jenks is one of the guys we run with. And yeah, he said that we don't talk about training enough, because that is, let's face it, the majority of where our time is spent, all to get to that start line of that race. You've got months and months, sometimes years of good quality training and loads of stories on that journey. Funny, sad, blood, tears. So yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. And
100%.
I think actually a nice little way to that's a nice little chance for me to get into the next thing I was going to talk about, which is on your page. I want to talk about how, because you founded the Health Care Club, and I know you've got another upcoming project, the Adventure Elective. But the Health Care Club, I clicked on that and had a little look, and I have the absolute utmost respect for the NHS, doctors, nurses of any kind, and it's such a simple concept, but I never thought about it. So, do you mind just explaining what it is and why you do it? Because it's a really cool little initiative. I love that.
Oh no, thank you for bringing it up. It's my new little baby and it's very early stages, and so I still don't feel very confident talking about it at the moment. But the Healthcare Club is basically a community set up to help the health of healthcarers, and that will never not be a mouthful to say, but there's no other way of really explaining it. And it's basically because NHS workers, I mean, everyone's gone through a very hard time in the pandemic, but NHS workers, they are such hardworking people. And I'm not trying to like talk about myself here. I'm just talking about all my colleagues that I've worked alongside. And they're also hardworking. And even though they're helping other people, they often neglect their own health because they're being so selfless to other people. They'll go work a 12-hour shift and not get enough sleep and not look after their diet and not fit in their exercise because all they want to do is help other people. But I want to set up this community to encourage us to look after our own health, because we'll get to a point where if we're not looking after our own health, how the hell are we going to look after other people's health? Because you'll get to what happened to me is I was working so hard that I became burnt out and I ended up having to go off sick from work. And I'm not a very good doctor if I can't even make it to work, or whenever I went to work, I was too stressed or just crying of burnout and I had to go home again. So yeah, the aim of this healthcare club is to hopefully prevent burnout, improve people's health, and then eventually this will help the NHS further, hopefully.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Such a good initiative. And again, I say it's so simple. That's not me taking it away from how special your project is, but it's such a simple thing. Like, I mean, you guys have trained most of your life and will continue to train most of your life to be these selfless people who care for others. And so it would only be natural to obviously start caring for yourself and not neglect that. Because if you're lacking on sleep, if you're sleep deprived or you're not eating properly and your diet's everywhere and you're so burnt out that all you're doing is sleeping and you're not getting out and getting any exercise, then yeah, who are you to then preach to people about health? It's a difficult vicious circle, isn't it? So I really like that. That stood out to me. And I've got my sister-in-law and brother-in-law both live in London. Or sorry, they work in London. One is a consultant radiologist and one is a consultant surgeon.
Wow.
And
They're
I'm
big
going
time.
I'm going to pass it on to them because they both train, they both run, they both do yoga and stuff like that. But they've recently had their second kid, and so that's kind of fallen to the waistline a little bit naturally. But I'm going to tell them about your project and pass your name to them, and hopefully you'll get to meet them. They're lovely people, so yeah, that's really cool.
Oh, thank you so much for spreading the word about it. Because I feel like at the moment I just want to get the word out there because I mean, I obviously personally think it's a great initiative, a great concept to help other people, but I think it's always tough when you've got an idea and it's just trying to get it out into the world. And I
Mm,
just want to help as many people as possible and to get as many people as possible to not end up in the situation that I was in.
of course, yeah, you've experienced it firsthand, haven't you? So yeah,
Mm.
definitely. And what about this other little sneaky one that says coming soon, the adventure elective? Then what's this one?
The adventure elective is because I work as an expedition doctor and work all over the world, and everyone always asks me how do you train to do it? How can you get a job like that? And so it's hopefully setting up a business to teach medical students and junior doctors how to do it as well. But it's in the very early stages. I actually created it before I created the healthcare club, but then the healthcare club got made and then that's kind of taken over. And now there's too many things going on and trying to work as a doctor, do the healthcare club, trying to do a master's alongside and trying to train for ultra marathons, trying to set up this business too. There's a lot of things going on at the moment and I'm trying to balance. It's like spinning plates.
Wow.
You could turn that into like an agency for all the race events, looking for doctors.
No, 100%. I could just recruit, couldn't I, for like why we run.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
You're onto a winner there, Beck.
That's very good. Yeah, that's a good thought. I didn't think about it like that. That's good thinking. Yeah, you need to definitely monetize that and network out to some people and get that out there 100% Becca, because yeah, there's so many. The ultra marathon and ultra running community and running community is so huge, like massive. Get your name out there, put your name out, send emails to all these people, man. It'd be class. You could, I mean, you've seen the events that go on through Ultra X, and they're not the only one. They're all over the world. That would be, yeah, a traveling doctor doing what you're doing now, but also opening up more doors for you. So,
Yeah,
wish you
I
the
think
best for that.
there's quite a lot of when training other doctors and trying to work as a doctor, there actually is quite a lot of complications and like insurance and indemnity, and so it's not as simple as it is. Otherwise, if there was no restrictions on doctors working anywhere, then doctors could go wild, couldn't they? Prescribing the big drugs to anyone. But everyone's always like, yeah, this is a great idea. Like you said, like monetize it, make it into a business. The thing they don't teach you in medical school is anything to do with business.
Mm.
Like me with money, no, not at all. Me with helping people, yes, great.
What about do you know any other like expedition doctors or traveling doctors? Because funny enough, before this, I was looking into I looked on Spotify and I literally searched expedition doctors, and there's loads of podcasts with other ones. I think there's an entire podcast just based on it. I think it's called like the Expedition Medic or something. They talk all about it. But I mean, what about networking with other people who do the same thing, and then maybe putting your heads together, and that would be really good. Just networking.
Yeah, I've got a few friends who do it, so I'm trying to phase out the jobs to them because I'm too busy, but it's coming, it's coming. There's no rush. Just like everything else with ultra running or work, there's always the journey, isn't it? And I think we're so as long as you know the end point and you know where you are, then the journey's the fun bit. So I'm not in any rush to do it. I'm still 27 with a lot of things to do.
27. Nate, can you remember that?
No, no.
How old are you guys now?
Nate,
I
you can.
am 47 this year, Beck.
You do not, to be fair, you do not look 47.
I know. My
This will be the first
my
time.
fitness age is 23, according to Garmin.
Yeah, Garmin is a liar. Garmin is a liar. We spoke about
No,
this.
I
it
don't think
speaks the
mine's
truth.
23 either. Is your
Go on,
Garmin
Nate.
actually 23?
Yeah,
No,
yeah. My fitness age is 23 on Garmin.
I think
Do you
mine's
think
like 25.
I think we should get evidence of this, Becca. I'm not believing him for one
I
I
don't
moment.
believe
see.
it either.
All right, I'll send it later.
How old do you think I am, Becca?
See, I was going to say you two in like your mid 30s.
Yes, I'll take that. I'm 39 in June, so
Okay, so that's not far off. That's quite accurate.
that's pretty good. That's actually that frustrates me a little bit because you're the closest anybody's ever got. Nobody's ever said that. So damn it, I expected like a shock factor. Like, oh my god,
27.
expected.
Are you 27 as well? Oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
Well, I have my year of birth. This is such a zillennial thing to have, but I have my year of birth like tattooed on my arm. And so it's 1996 because I'm a child. And one day in the hospital, someone came up to me and was like, "Oh, is that the year you qualified as a doctor?" I was like, "Sorry." I was like, "Clearly it was a very rough day in the office."
Wow, fair enough. Um, I just want to, because of what you do in the film, I'm so interested. I just want to go back to that a sec. So, obviously, you're still a junior doctor. From what you've said, you still work in the hospital. But are you like transitioning to the expedition doctor, or are you like full-time expedition now? Or
Yeah, so basically to be an expedition doctor, you can't do it full time. One, because it doesn't pay very well at all. Secondly, there's not enough really jobs in it. And thirdly, to make sure that you're competent to do your expedition medicine, you need to make sure your skills are up to date in from the hospital. So normally you work in the hospital, get your skills up to date, and then so you'd work in like A&E or GP, and then you'd use those skills outside. But because if you're not practicing any medical skills, then you won't know what to do on a mountain. So I kind of do it part time, but I'm kind of trying to transition probably away from all clinical medicine, to be fair, and work more on public health, which is like what the healthcare club community is. And this is all about preventative medicine and how lifestyle and exercise and nutrition and preventing disease basically. So all those like public health campaigns like eat healthily, quit smoking, 30 minutes of exercise a day, doing those kind of campaigns instead, because that's actually what I really believe in. That's why I'm so passionate about running and exercises, because I know it's so good for your health. I don't want to be treating people when they've, not that I don't want to be treating people, but as in I'd rather stop someone getting ill than you coming to me when you're already ill,
Mhm.
me trying to fix it. And that's why I'm really passionate. And I want, if I can just get everyone to exercise more and everyone to eat a bit healthier, then think about all the things we could prevent instead. So
Mhm.
I'm doing the expedition stuff in the meantime, and then, but we'll see what happens. And if I think my dream would just be a job getting everyone to go running. I don't know what the job that is, but
Coach.
yeah, I always said this. I always said if I wasn't a doctor, I'd be a PT.
Hmm.
Because it's just
Well,
the same thing. It's just getting people moving and healthy, isn't it?
yeah, that's true. Um, well, going obviously on the subject of the expedition though. So I'm very curious. So when I was looking into this and stuff, take us back to when, for example, you went to the Arctic. Because I know you've been to, for those who don't know, Mount Kilimanjaro. You've done the Arctic. You've been to just various amazing places. For example, the Arctic. Can you walk us through like a day in the life of Dr. B in the Arctic? Like, what do you do? Like, how does it work? Because obviously, the way I look at it is, in a hospital, you've got everything you need. Well,
Mm.
so to speak, there. So if you get called quickly to do something, you know you've got people around, you've got things. But obviously, in the Arctic, I'm assuming you have to have everything with you. So,
Yeah.
like, do you mind just explaining what you would do, like, and how it works?
Yeah, so in the Arctic, we basically took a bunch of students out there to kind of teach them other expedition skills as well. And you kind of like wake up, and obviously some people were sleeping in snow shelters, and you would have to then like obviously cook your food on a fire that you've made, boil some water, make some porridge, just slightly different to the general hospital life. And then we'd go off and do some expeditions, so whether that was snowshoeing, and one day we did snowmobiles, and then other days we'd do like navigation and compasses and all that bits and pieces. And then we'd teach people often like survival skills as well. So like one day we cut a massive hole in the ice and made everyone jump into the water. So we did cold water immersion, because you never know when you're walking along a frozen lake, one day you could just fall in. So you need to train your body into how it's going to respond. So we pushed everyone in, made people go in there, and then when you'd come out, you'd then have to do like a quiz and then roll about in the snow. And so we're teaching them like life expedition skills basically. But then it's quite different. Like you'd obviously have all your medical kit with you. You'd have to have evacuation plans. If someone got sick, we would have had to either use, because there was no signal or anything, we'd have to use our remote Garmin, contact the hospital, would have to get a helicopter coming in, or would have to take them on the back of a snowmobile off to the hospital as well. But you're in the middle of nowhere. There was no one around. There was no signal. If something happened, it would have been down to us to look after them. But that's what's so exciting. But it's all about teaching other people and making other people really aware about all the risks there are. So hopefully nothing happens.
Hmm. And where was the nearest hospital when you were like in the Arctic? You said they had to come in on a helicopter. Where was?
So we were in the Arctic Circle, we were up in Norway next to the Russian border. And so it probably would have been like an hour away. I can't remember what the place was called. It was some weird Norwegian place. Um, but then even if they had the helipad coming in, then you've got to think about logistics of how would they be able to get to you? How would they find you if you've got no signal? Blah blah blah. Like when we went to the jungle, and the evacuation plan out of the jungle is an absolute nightmare, because what you need for a helicopter coming in is obviously empty space. But in a
Hmm.
jungle, it's obviously just 1,000,005 trees, isn't it?
Hmm.
And so the signal can't get up, the helicopter can't come down. So then you'd have to have had just carried the person out of the jungle before they could even be seen to. And in the jungle, we're managing things like snake bites, scorpions. And when we were there, we saw so many snakes. We had to kill so many snakes. It's a bit of a weird thing. I feel like I've got two lives, and I'm like, yes, I've killed a lot of snakes before. But if someone got bitten by a snake, we would have actually been screwed, because it
Hmm.
would have been at least 2 hour trek out of the jungle. By that point, their leg would probably fallen off. They could have gone to respiratory arrest and died. So you kind of
Yeah.
hope for the best with these things.
Where was the jungle then?
So I've been to two. What the first one was in Malaysia on a place called Langkawi.
Hmm.
It was a fairly tame jungle. I say tame, I mean there's still spiders, snakes, scorpions there. Um, and then the other one I did was in Dominica in the Caribbean, and we did an 100-mile trek from coast to coast through
Oof,
the jungle as well, which was amazing.
it's incredible. That's unbelievable. Have you ever faced any particularly challenging medical emergencies then during any of the expeditions? And how did you manage them? Like, obviously, I don't want to tempt fate here, but
I've not had, touch wood, not had anything too dramatic. I think the worst ones I've had have actually been at like ultra marathons,
oh, really?
ironically. Um, so often with like ultra marathons, like it can be really hot. People push themselves physically a lot more, and you don't have eyes on people. So you'd make your own decision to be like, I'll keep going, and a doctor won't always be aware that you're getting more unwell. Like how much in a race can you kind of just escape the doctors, and like no one can really tell. Whereas on expeditions, there's normally a group of like 15, 16 of you. The doctor is so aware of you, or as soon as you start becoming unwell, the doctor will pull you out and be like, absolutely not, you're not going on anymore. Obviously, there's things, accidents that can happen, but normally you can tell when someone's becoming unwell and you can stop them. But on ultra marathons, men especially push themselves to their limits, and then you'll come find them when they're at like death's door, not death's door, but at a very low point, and then you're like, right, you're leaving the race now. You need to go, and then but they'll still want to continue. You'll be like, you're not okay.
You have nothing left, and you're just dragging your legs. Like,
Beck,
With men
so,
in ultra marathons doing that, like,
yeah, I would just keep going myself. Yeah, it scares me to think that I would just keep going until I did drop. I think it's
shouldn't say that to
ego
a
and
doctor.
it's drive as well.
I think it's a really odd one with ultra marathons because you you kind of go into it knowing it's going to be hard. You'll probably be unwell at some point. Like it's quite normal for people to be dehydrated, hallucinating, vomiting, diarrhea, anything on an ultra marathon, and people be like, that's normal. Like if you look at these professional ultra marathon runners, they're literally hallucinating, and everyone's like, yep, well done, keep going. Whereas if you had that in any other situation, you'd be like, absolutely not. Like, stop that. Like, it's such an odd concept, the medical leniency we give in ultramarathons.
I like that. Stop that.
Beck, with your Instagram, if anyone doesn't know, Beck has got how many followers you got now, Beck? 87,000?
Yeah.
That's just crazy. So when did that really kick off? Because with your current posts, they're very honest. So I'm guessing that's why you grew up so much. Because they're just very honest. It shows your good days, your bad days, and everything in between. So how did that take off so well?
I have no idea. I think it was actually the weekend of Why We Run.
Really?
Yeah, I started that weekend on 4 or 5,000 followers. I left that weekend on 25,000 followers, which
Wow.
is very odd. Like everyone that weekend, it was kind of like I was very distracted by Why We Run, and that whole weekend, obviously, it's a very immersive weekend. And then I had this thing in the back of my head. I was like, my Instagram's blowing up at the same time. It was a very life-changing weekend, to say the least, for multiple reasons. Um, I think the reason it blew up was because I had a reel go viral about like being a festival doctor or an expedition doctor, and everyone was like, that's a really cool job. And I think that's really why I have blown up so much, because no one really knows that it is a job that you can do. And you get a lot of people being like, wow, that's amazing. We want to do that too. Like being able to travel the world as a job is a lot of people's dreams.
Mm.
So I think that's where I kind of get the engagement. And then I get a lot of response up from people about my honest posts about burnout and struggling as a doctor and as a young person, really, as well. Um, it's quite hard, like sharing so much on social media. But when you get the messages of people being like, you're really helping or you're inspiring me, like it makes you want to continue. And now suddenly I'm on 87,000 people, and it's quite hard to comprehend that 87,000 people want to listen to what I have to say when I'm like I don't think my mum even wants to listen to what I've got to say.
If it's any consolation, nobody's mum wants to listen to what they want to say. Don't worry.
No. Like I don't my best friends are still like, oh, we don't watch your reels. And I was like, thanks, guys.
Cheers for the support, guys. Thanks. On the subject of social media, actually, one of the videos you did post, because, like I said, just being transparent, Nathan introduced me to you, and one of them you said it was a really good, informative post. And again, what Nathan said, I think the reason that you do so well is because you're real. What you say, you show the good, the bad, and everything in between. And one of them was, I loved it because it was all linked to the argument about exercise replacing therapy, and I know that is you, it's an ever growing argument. People are like, yep, cool, I've replaced my therapy. I don't need to do it anymore. I just run, and that frustrates me because of various reasons that I imagine you'll probably cover off when I ask you now what you think about that. Because I know you've done a video already, so I do apologise. But for anybody who's listening, I think it's a really good subject to kind of discuss.
Yeah, no, I'm happy you've asked me because on a reel you get 60 seconds to talk about something and try and convey a topic when there's actually this topic you could do a whole podcast episode on alone. Yeah, I think I've gone on about a lot about how running and exercise is amazing for mental health. And I will always encourage everyone I know and all my patients that if you've got low mental health to exercise, and that will improve it. And it's a great tool to use. But there is a massive trend at the moment of people being like people literally say, running's my therapy. And it's not. Like exercise and running, it's a tool to improve your mental health, get you endorphins, get you out of bed. But it doesn't replace, it's a coping mechanism. And I think the reason I did that post at the time was I didn't realize how much I'd been using running and exercise as a coping mechanism. And then I got injured recently and exercise was taken away from me. And suddenly I was like, oh, I've still got the issues that I had before. I just can't run away from them anymore.
Mm.
And then I ended up then going back to therapy. I used Bigmoose and had my sessions with them and came out a bit like feeling a bit better. And I was like, one day you won't be able to exercise, whether that's because of an injury or you can't do certain things during pregnancy, or you never know what's going to happen. Eventually we'll get old and we won't be able to move our bodies in some way. You can't use exercise. It's a great tool, but you can't use it to replace actually just dealing with your problems and talking about them and getting to the crux of why it's happening.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's really hard because you want people to exercise for their mental health, but it's getting that balance right of being like, okay, use it, but also go to therapy. Everyone should go to therapy.
Yeah, I think something there that I've only just come to me. You're right, and I definitely 100% agree with you because there's so many funny posts out there where they're just like, "Yeah, I've given up therapy, running's completely replaced it," and it's like, "No, bollocks. Sorry, don't believe you. Do it as well." But one thing that I do love about the running and the running community, since being more heavily involved in it, for instance, on Saturday, is that you do talk a lot more in trail running anyway, compared to like if you're training for a marathon and you're trying to run 6 minute mile per minute, it's not gonna happen. But like I spoke to pretty much every single person on Saturday about it, and some of them, you end up going deep, and you do because it is a way to vent. But again, you shouldn't use that or think that you can use that to replace the importance of therapy. Like this Bigmoose again, obviously me and Nate praise him so much for that. And yeah, I love that post because it started to grind my gears a little bit, just because. And do you know what? I'm a hypocrite because before I hate the fact I have written running is my therapy as one of my
So have
Instagram
I.
accounts.
I've done the same thing as
Yeah,
well. And I
but
think especially when like you're surrounding yourself by people and groups like the Why We Run community and trail runners, is that it can probably do 90% of good. it is a way to vent, it's a way to meet people, it's a way to talk about your feelings, and it is a safe space. And so it does so much.
Mm.
But I don't think it will ever solve the problem the way that therapy can do. But 100% I'm advocating to still run and trail run and talk about your feelings in that way. And I think that's why Why Run is incredible, because it does nearly everything. And it's quite nice that Bigmoose can just do that last little bit.
Mm. Yeah, I agree.
But
Definitely.
there's no feeling like the way that I felt when I left Why We Run, whether that's the run club or the event or being around the Why We Run community, you do feel like you've kind of been to a therapy session sometimes. Like you leave it and you go, oh, I've spoken about my feelings and it's good.
Yeah, especially on almost the more brutal the run, the deeper you go. Like, if that makes sense. So, like, when you're doing a really, really hard run, at the end of the day, when you're on the side of a mountain climbing some horrible elevation, tired, your body's hurting, you're hungry, you just want to go home and have a lie down. When you're alongside other like-minded people, that's when you see everything starts off joyful and you're bouncing ready to go, and then 30, 40, 50 miles in, it soon turns and you're like, I fucking hate my life right now. And then somebody will ask you what you do as a job to distract you, you get into that, and then before you know it, by the end of that run, you cross that finish line and you know more about them than you do your best friend. So it's funny, isn't it? It is so true. But again, I want to, reiterate, it's not therapy. Don't think that you can replace it. It is a part of therapy, but it's not therapy. So yeah, wanted to bring that up.
Yeah. Nathan, have you ever used the excuse that running's your therapy?
Probably, yeah, yeah, definitely. But going back to sort of like Saturday with this why we run, I think me and Lewis had a really, really deep conversation within the first half mile, and I think we shared a lot of things I don't think we actually opened up to anyone else about. Um, so yeah, it did really help Saturday for me a lot.
Mm,
Yeah, it's just a stupid, crazy bunch of people, really. That's why we run group. Crazy.
yeah, it was great. I noticed that you and Lewis dropped back at literally as we first kicked off. You dropped back with Lewis and you're having a good conversation. So again, you kind of know when they're happening, so you just kind of take off ahead and leave you to it. Let them have a little
Well,
catch up.
it started off, we thought everyone's running the hill. Why the fuck are we running the hill? So we just started walking and we like, let him crack on. And we just got into a deep conversation then about life.
And they're the best conversations. You don't want to have them all the time, but there's a time and a place, and sometimes it just happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was a cool Saturday.
It was
I'm
really
pleased
cool.
that I couldn't come. I
I
think
don't
this
think we could have picked a better day for it this year.
It was lush.
was it
Even the
sunny?
wind was warm. Oh, it was sunny. The wind was warm. It was nuts.
Yeah, it was different. And every other day since that has been absolutely miserable.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, we'll come down your way one day. We got to do it. I want to do them more definitely because there's a great bunch of people.
Yeah, I think there's one in the Peak District coming up as well.
Oh
mm,
yes, with Jade, yeah,
Mm.
Jade and Hannah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a trek, but I'd love to do it. I've never been there, and I'd absolutely love
No,
to
I
do it.
haven't.
Never been to the Peak District.
No,
Nope, never been anywhere near it. Really,
I went to uni in Sheffield,
oh,
so
okay.
the Peak District's like a second home.
Oh,
nice.
that's. And were you running at the time?
I just started in my final year.
Oh,
And it was one of those things where you're like, I've completely wasted these Peak Districts. But it's a lovely, lovely place. And that's obviously where my first ultra was as well.
Going back to October, in Pembroke,
Mm.
how what did you get from that experience, and how was it for you?
I think,
And
God,
how did you get into it?
yeah, I think what I went into it with compared to what I got out of it was very, very different. I didn't really understand what Why We Run was. And like I said, I was just training for Morocco 110. I'd seen that some of my friends were going to this Why We Run event. I was like, this would be fun. Rock up. I'll see some of my friends and I'll bash out 100K. And like I'm just gonna use it as like a training run basically, which feels so naive now that then I came out the other side of it. I don't think I've cried that much on a weekend, and especially in front of strangers as well. I feel like I went through a whole, I don't know, like it felt like went through therapy. I cried, I opened up, I had conversations I've never had with people, and I learned about what YUM was, and it made me question myself so, so much about who I was, what I wanted. Um, and I don't think I just wasn't prepared for it at all. And I think I'm now doing Why We Run 250 this year, and I'm really scared because I'm almost scared what I'm going to learn about myself again. Like, I don't know,
Mm.
that does sound really weird, but I feel like it was so life-changing that first. I know this sounds so, if you don't, if it, for people who don't know Why We Run or anything or have experienced it, I think it sounds so dramatic. But there's no
Mm.
way to describe the way that you kind of go into it. Even like a run club, you go into it and you feel like you changed afterwards. And I'm so
Mm.
scared about what I'm going to learn.
Embrace it. Embrace it
It's
with open arms.
the best way to describe it is a very long group run because you've got no like winners or losers. Uh, there's no times. You just all go out and just run, don't you? It's just it.
It's not the
it
run that scares me though. It's the
no
it's
emotion.
the emotions I'm going to have to go through and face. And yeah, I'm just,
You didn't get to hear the stories, so like in the evenings, because everyone we have speakers in this for the week as well.
yeah. Well, I heard Jeff's bloody speech, and it was just, so say he was talking for 45 minutes. That was me of 45 minutes. I couldn't even look at him because if I looked at him, I was going to start hysterically crying. It was 45 minutes. You know, when like you're having to hold in crying,
Mm.
or like it wasn't even going to be crying, it was going to be hysterical wailing. It was just 45 minutes of doing that. And I was like, I'm so glad I didn't have to listen to any other of the speeches because I don't think I was emotionally ready for it.
Mm.
And now I feel like I've got 6 months to build up to be emotionally ready for Why We Run. And yeah, I think, yeah, I'm excited for it. But yeah, it's a learning curve, isn't it?
Mm.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah. I'm excited for you. I'm gutted. I didn't do the first one, and every time someone talks about it, it's like another kick in the nuts to me because I wish I had. But I had, and I yeah, I've not signed up to this one either. But something will happen. We'll work together. But something I wanted to say then, actually, you said something about how like doing the event made you learn things about yourself that you've never had, and things or something along the lines of that. Well, randomly, I was listening to an audio book today by a guy called Charlie Engel. It's on Spotify. He's the author of Running Man, a memoir. And something he says in there, he talks about how, because he's done Badwater multiple times and stuff, serious runner,
Wow.
about how it's strange, but he the pain that he gets from doing these, he almost aches for it because it's, well, he calls it the exquisite illuminating pain, which is a very good way of putting it. And that even though some people call him crazy, you crave it, which you do. But then something he said, which ties in with what you said, is he said it's the kind of pain, kind of event that exposes who you really are and asks who you want to be. And that stood out to me. When I was listening to it, I was like, I'm going to talk about that tonight because
Yeah,
every time
that's so true.
it is every time like someone talks about why we run all these big events, like all I ever the constant repetitive thing that comes up is that people are learning so much more about themselves after it. So yeah, kind of exposes who you really are and asks who you want to be, and it's true. It really hit home, and it, like you just said.
I think that's why I'm scared of it though, because I think it put up, and this is something I've felt ever since Why We Run as well. It kind of it put up a mirror to me. I had to look at who I was. And it's not like I necessarily liked every single aspect about myself either. And it made me want to change. And I'm scared to then to go do it again because I know I'm gonna have to look at myself in the mirror again and be like, these are the things you need to change. And it's, of course, it's good. It's good to change. It's good to want to change things about yourself because that means you're growing, means you're learning, means you're growing up. But it's a very painful experience.
Mm. Yeah.
Which one was your favourite route? The White Sands or Forth Gain Way?
I like the first one. What was the? I can't remember which one was.
Turn left
Not
or
the
right?
Blue Lagoon one.
Oh, the one with all the cliffs and the
Yeah,
climb. Yeah, that was just epic. And the ponies on the it was gorgeous, that one.
it was so good.
Every time, every time this gets brought up, I'm just like, why did I do this, man? Seriously.
Why aren't you doing it?
I didn't do the first one because I'll be honest, I didn't have a clue about it. I had absolutely no idea about it. I wasn't I'd not done any work with Bigmoose. I wasn't I hadn't really spoken to Lewis or anything. I heard all about it through Nathan. I heard about it long before Nathan had done it through Nathan because in fact the first time I met him properly was 3 o'clock in the morning on the way to a 50-mile ultra up in Sennybridge in the middle of nowhere with the worst weather I've ever encountered, as Nathan will agree, in my life. And he was like, "Oh, doing this now," and because he was doing the slam as well through Pegasus, so all the ultras with them. And he's like,
You've
"Oh,
done
God,
that?
he's done it."
Yeah.
Yeah, Nathan was doing it at the same time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
did the Pegasus Slam, which is an ultra every month for 6 months, and then I finished that, and 3 weeks later, then I was down in Pembroke.
I'm
yeah.
in trail running royalty right now. That's so impressive.
And
He was. Go on.
then when we got back in after that, Jeff put a seed in my head that I had to make it 12. Actually, no, it wasn't Jeff. It was Grant that I had to make it 12 for the year.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I just did an ultra in Poncana just for the hell of it.
Why
just to
not?
do it. Yeah, why
Yeah,
not? You do. But I remember you saying to me, like, vividly in the car, I actually wasn't on the way to that. I tell a lie. It was when we went and did the Garth run. It was me, you, Jenks, I think, and a few people, and we got back in the car. And I think you'd had a particularly hard run like a few days before, and your legs were killing you. And you got back in the car and you said, "How the fuck am I going to do this while we're running in Pembroke?" Because it was so daunting. But obviously, I'm so glad that you and all of you guys did because I want to get involved. The truth of the matter is, I can't do this one because it's just too expensive, and I'm also in the middle of planning a really cool, awesome challenge next year, which I really want to talk about. But I feel like I'm tempting fate if I do talk about it.
Oh,
But
I want to hear about it already.
it's really cool. I might just drop it because
it might actually include Becca.
yeah,
Do you
exactly.
need do you need a doctor for it?
Yeah, well, it's you know what? Fucking, I'll talk about it because I've been speaking sense.
Hooray!
I've been
Yay!
Big
I've been talking.
announcement. Drum roll.
Woo!
But you know what? This is tempting fate because actually, if it doesn't happen, I'm going to feel like a right knob. But these
No,
things.
it's
No,
called
if you put it
manifesting.
out there, it'll happen.
Yeah, you're manifesting.
So basically, also actually, Nate, I got to say, and Becca, if you haven't heard of him, you may have heard of him. I did speak to, and I'm in contact with Nick Butter at the moment, who is one of my running idols. I actually had a good hour conversation with him today, and he's stepping in to try and help make this happen for me as well. He's been so supportive since I met him at the Bigmoose event. So basically, the challenge is that I'm going to be the first person to do every single Ultra X event within the 12 months. So
No.
I've spoken to Sam, the founder of Ultra X. I've spoken to and I've been in conversation with Sam and the race directors, and they're doing their best to try and help me out. They love the idea. When I told them, they said, "If you're that fucking mental, then we want to support you." I'm going to be doing it for a charity very close to my heart, which is likely to be Cancer Research UK, because my old man, my dad, has prostate cancer currently, but he is in remission. He's doing really well, and he has been for a while. But as most of us unfortunately have, we've lost friends and family to it. So it's a very charity very close to me. So I'm going to be doing it for those. So I've been in contact with them. I've got a friend who works there, and yeah, it's a big. When I spoke to Nick today, he opened my eyes up to how difficult it is going to be. Like, I really have to knuckle down and do more planning than I've ever done for probably anything in my life, if I'm being totally honest, because as being as transparent as possible, it's expensive, and I don't have the money. So I've got some. I need to basically be reaching out for support and stuff. And so yeah, Nick's helping me network because well, he's run a marathon in every country in the world. For those who don't know anything about Nick Butler, and he's an absolute animal of a runner. So he's putting me in contact with various people and trying to help me. And yeah, the next X amount of months, 7, 8 months, wherever the year, is going to be me working bloody hard to get people on board with trying to help me help the cause, because I'm doing it for a very, very good charity. That means a lot to me, really. So I've got to get there. And then with a little bit of luck, I'll be starting it in Tanzania in January. And then every month.
How many miles for all of them?
Yeah, a lot. I don't even a lot, quite a lot. And I've worked out there's something like it's well over 50,000 meters of elevation throughout the whole thing. Is crazy amount of elevation.
How many
And
countries?
13 countries.
Wow.
So, including England, Wales, and Scotland, there's going to be Tanzania, Rwanda, Nevada, Jordan, Morocco, Slovenia, Madeira, Portugal, which is the Azores, Finland. So yeah, it's a hell of a challenge, and it's a lot of miles. But I'm buzzing for it, and I've been wanting to talk about it, and I've just given up now because I'm fed up of keeping it in. So, hopefully, with a little bit of luck, fingers crossed, I'm going to be doing some promo videos, and I'll be able to get the funding that I need to get me to the start line. Fingers crossed.
Oh
So
my God.
That'd be awesome.
yeah.
You've
But
officially manifested now, like it's gonna happen. You've
yeah,
put it out into the world, and now that's gonna be that kickstart thing that you're gonna be like, I've said it now, and now
Gotta
what
do
are you
it.
doing?
Yeah.
As soon as you tell people you're gonna do something, otherwise you just sit on this thing and then you're like, oh well, no one knows, I'm not gonna fail. But there's something that will be lit in you now.
yeah, exactly. And it's going to be mad. It's going to be a really, really big thing for me. And speaking to Nick today, like I said, it was just mind blowing. This guy I've followed for a very long time, a very hugely successful runner, is just taking his time to help me. And he said so much that really hit home and really helped me lay out the plan. And he's going to help me, I'm going to write up a draft of a plan to him, and he's going to look over it and work with me. So I got some really good people on my side at the moment, and hoping to get more. So for anybody who is listening to this, um, reach out, support me, and also, yeah. Well, you'll hear a lot more about this.
I'm currently talking to him about jobs.
Yeah, don't blame you, because that was
Yeah.
brought up as well. I spoke to him about that as well.
I ironically also had a phone call with him last week.
Yes,
Did you?
You're not doing the Pan America thing with him, are you?
No, I'm talking about doctoring stuff.
Oh.
Wow,
Have you heard about that challenge?
No, what is it?
He's running from Alaska to the southern tip of Argentina along the Pan American Highway.
Stop.
Yeah, 1,000 marathons in 1,000 days he's doing. So that's what, 3 years of running a marathon every day.
How's he going to do that? He's got a job.
No, that basically is his job. He's got a good team behind him, and that is his entire life is doing that, isn't it? And he's but it's were you at the Bigmoose thing recently?
No, she
No.
wasn't.
Oh, he dropped the first trailer for the 196, which is where he ran a marathon in every country in the world, and it was, oh my God, man! I was on the edge of my seat. I've been waiting for so long for it. And yeah, that's funny that you've been speaking to him as well. We've all been speaking to Nick.
He's got his fingers in every pie, hasn't he?
I bet he's well picked. He's like, oh, fucking hell, who next?
Speaking of documentaries, have you seen Leon's one's coming out soon?
Oh, amazing.
He's had the full video himself, so yeah, it shouldn't be long now.
Can't wait. I listened to the podcast actually that you sent me all about it, and that was exciting enough. Just hearing him talk about it, man, he went through some ups and downs. So I am absolutely buzzing, and yeah,
Yeah,
went,
can't wait to speak to him. Hopefully on here.
yeah.
Yeah, we've also got the running monk. He's coming on soon.
Wow.
Alan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
You got to meet. Got some great people coming on here. Fair play. It's going to be. It's a hell of an adventure. But
Andrew Glaze.
yeah, yeah. Who's run like 100 miles a week for the last 208 weeks or something crazy?
He's been in the top 5 in Strava for the last year.
And he's a firefighter, so he literally runs 100-mile weeks, and like he'll sit in an ice bath in his fire service station, and then when the alarm goes off, he gets out, gets dried up, cracks on.
These people,
amazing people. I love it. That's why I love doing this, because man, you find some absolute crazy people, but it's good. It's so cool. I'm glad they exist.
I seem quite normal now.
No, back. I was going to say back to you, back to a hero on this show. I want to ask you a question.
I want to just talk to them. I'm going to listen to those podcasts.
Get involved. But with you, Becca, so you travel the world as a doctor, which is awesome. As a two-part question, really, I want to ask you. We've kind of touched on this a little bit, but can you talk about the ups and downs of doing that? And secondly, what has been kind of the most important, what's the word I can use, formula, so to speak, that you've used that has helped you achieve the success that you've had? So I know you're a junior doctor and everything, but and you're quite early on in it, I guess. But what is it that, and if you need me to repeat that, I will, but just wondering really, first of all, what the ups and downs of doing this are, and then what's been the formula you've used to kind of achieve success and get over that?
Ups and downs of being an expedition doctor. Ups, obviously, you get to travel the world as a doctor. You get to travel the world for a living. Like, that is a dream come true job. And you go to places which you won't necessarily have the opportunity for the normal holiday either. Like, no one really goes to the Arctic or the jungle as trips. Everyone goes to Tenerife for that all-inclusive hotel. So you get to go to parts of the world which are literally untouched, which is incredible. So that is the main up, and obviously then getting to help people to do these crazy challenges as well. When people are wanting to do Kilimanjaro and Everest Base Camp, you're helping people tick off their bucket list, which is such a lovely, lovely thing to do. I think there's a lot more downs than people realize. This Kilimanjaro trip I've just come back from, for instance, there was some sick people that I should look after. I was working all by myself. I then got sick myself as well and had no one to help me. And it really does take a toll on your body. Like, I don't know if you've ever been at altitude before, but I ended up losing 3 kilos worth of muscle because the low oxygen you get, the hypoxia you get at altitude causes muscle wasting. I wasn't eating properly, so I came back. I'd had gastroenteritis. I'd lost loads of weight. I'd lost all my running ability. And then I got injured, and it actually takes a massive toll on your body. And you're also away from home. You're away from your routine, which causes a big effect on your physical and mental health anyway. Like, I was doing it last year. I went away every single month of the year, and it was quite lonely, and my running was awful, which is hence why I then came back and was like, I'm going to smash out these ultras because I want to get really good at running. But you don't really look after yourself when you're doing these trips. And also things can really go wrong. Like, you could get bitten by a snake. You could have a leg chopped off with the machete that you're using. You could fall down an ice crevasse on a mountain. You could get cerebral edema from altitude. Like, there's some pretty life-threatening things that can happen. So there are some downsides, as well as it's like high risk, high reward, isn't it? What was the second question?
Kind of the most important like formula that you've used that has helped you kind of achieve success through it. So what has helped you get through that? Like, is it I don't know, kind of
So,
You kind of touched on it, but I'll let you obviously elaborate.
so I think I get asked a lot, being like, "How have you got to this point in your career?" And it's really odd because I failed a year of med school, I dropped out of med school, and I was bottom of my year in med school. And so I would have seen myself as a massive, massive failure. Whereas people look at me now and be like, oh, you seem to have a successful career. And I think that's because I prioritized the things that I actually loved and was passionate about. I was passionate about health and fitness. I was passionate about travel. I was passionate about exploring the world. And I just don't think you can go wrong in life if you know what you enjoy and you pursue it. And I think if you do that, then your passion and your love and your skill set will come through, and what's meant for you will find you.
Yeah, that's wow. I mean, that's a pretty perfect answer right there. You couldn't have answered that any more perfectly. That's yeah, I've got no response to that. That's great. You know what you wanted and you stuck with it. And so I guess to flip it or say it another way is that even on the bad days, you know that what you're doing is your passion and you love it. So you're willing to take the bad with the good, or the good with the bad, whichever way you say it, because you would rather be doing that than anything else. So
And I think
yeah.
it's like your I think the world, if the world is going to be like the most successful world, if everyone just did what they were passionate at.
Mm,
Like that I think that's how we can all be most successful. There's no point everyone doing this half-assed job about stuff which they aren't that passionate about. But when you see someone who finds their passion and you just see how they flourish and grow.
mm,
And yeah, I think my passion was health and fitness and being outside, and so coincidentally, that's what I've managed to be successful in.
amazing. And you mentioned two words, bucket list. That was going to be my next question anyway. So you've traveled some to amazing places, but where would you absolutely love to work or go? Like, is there a place that you've got lined up that you're buzzing about that you can talk about? Or what is your bucket list place to travel and work?
Um, I'm actually, well, South America, I've never been to. Really, really want to go. And I've been very lucky enough to just found out a couple of weeks ago that I was hired for a trip next year to Bolivia for 3 weeks, which is going to be incredible. And then I hopefully can then travel around down to like Argentina and Peru and stuff as well. I think that's my bucket list. I want to do like a little 6 month backpacking trip down South America, but we'll see. There's so much to
Amazing.
explore down there. It's so big.
Yeah, you got to run. Please run as well. Like run around there and document it because I'd love to see the videos and pictures of what it's like around there. Like seeing it on foot as safely as you can, obviously.
Yeah. Think about the reels that I'll be producing then.
How's your training going for your Ironman? You doing
So
an Ironman?
no, I was so wanting to do a triathlon. Um, I was actually training for a Finland 110K. And I was meant to be running the Paris Marathon this weekend. Um, but I got back from Kilimanjaro and I got injured. So I've only just been back running this week. So I've got 8 weeks till Finland. So I've got to make the decision now about whether I do it. I either get to do it or I doctor it. Haven't decided yet. And I don't know what to do if you guys have got any advice.
What about whether you do the marathon this weekend or whether you do Finland in 8 weeks?
Definitely not doing the marathon, but whether I do Finland in 8 weeks.
I'll just do it.
Yeah, I think 8 weeks. Thing is,
That's loads of time.
it's actually a good amount of time. If you were saying in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'd say with an injury, is it worth risking putting that, your body through that trauma, which might mean delaying your recovery, which is just going to cause you more issues running. But 8 weeks, actually, I guess you can see how you feel. But I would say yes, absolutely go for it because I mean, what injury is it that you picked up? Don't mind me asking.
I honestly don't even know. Like I had like it kind of felt a bit like shin splints, but I had an MRI, it was completely normal, and it's kind of just gone away. I'm not sure whether it was like obviously there was something there, but whether the psychological stress that I went through post Kilimanjaro, whether that massively amplified it as well. Um, like I'm still got a little bit of pain there, but MRI is fine. So in my head, not injured.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just get to the gym.
do it, do it.
Yeah.
And if you have to stop because you're in excruciating pain, then obviously stop, listen to your body. But otherwise, you'll be fine. On the day as well, you're going to be buzzing. You got to think about the dopamine and the adrenaline. You'll be fine. But
You two are
as
bad
long
influences.
Or you could take some advice and speak to Sophie.
I've already
yes,
spoken to Sophie. Me and Sophie have both been injured, so we've been there, like, been like, "How's your injury?"
she's had shin splints actually, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's got something like that. We've got quite similar things, I think, actually.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Go for it. Go, go for
Go
it. You
for a
wanted
run
to just
tomorrow. She won't mind.
All right.
um. So yeah, Nath mentioned Ironman. So obviously you've said in your profile aspiring triathlete. So I've seen a few of your videos of going swimming and stuff. Are you picking up more with any of those disciplines like the swimming and the cycling, or are you focusing on just one at a time, or how's that going?
Well, yeah, I think bucket list, like 2024 goals was to do a triathlon. And I was thinking like sprint triathlon. Obviously, in my head, I'm like, I'm a runner. I only run. Um, but with an injury, I was like, I have to move my body in any way. And I ended up in the pool. Like, I wouldn't have got in the pool for any other reason than other than the fact I was injured, because who the hell goes swimming when you could be running?
That
Um,
video, your first pool session, was so funny.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. I wasn't sure whether I could.
it's got nearly 1 million views. I'm like, that is so embarrassing.
It
That's
was your
your
it
fault.
was your face. You just did not look impressed at all.
No, you didn't sell it. For anybody who's trying to do a triathlon and thought, oh, I'll check it this Dr. Becca Salmon. She looks like she knows what she's doing. And then saw that video and was like, yeah, no, nope, not for me.
It's so funny because now like swimming brands have approached me and been like, "Oh, let's send you some swimming stuff." I'm like, "I'm not a swimmer."
Take it all. Take it all. This is the thing. This is the key. You've got to do. You've got a lot of really good like reels and videos, but the ones that you think are not that great, you've got 1 million views on it. Like it's unbelievable. Like that's
But it's so annoying when you're like the therapy one, like that's something I'm so passionate about and put so much effort into that thing, and it's got like 60,000 views, which is still a lot of views, but then I did one which was so stupid about swimming, which means nothing, and it's got 1 million views. You're like, can't I talk about something really important here? And it's like you have to do the funny ones to draw people in, and then you can talk about that issue you want to talk about in the world.
yeah. It's got to be done. You got to have
It's
some funny
yeah.
ones. That's why people watch it. They sit and just laugh, just scrolling.
But no, and to be fair, like I've actually fallen in love with swimming. It is really good. And once like I'm not sure how long you guys have been running for, but you get to a point where you kind of know quite a lot about running and you're not really a beginner anymore. And obviously there's always new challenges and stuff you can do, but you know all about it. The beauty about being a novice and a beginner in a sport again is it's quite magical actually. Like just being like, oh, I haven't got a clue. Like when was the last time you were like, oh, I haven't got a clue, and like trying something new, and like you never know what world's gonna open up. I could end up being a bloody incredible swimmer. Like
Mm,
I never would have known. Like 4 years ago, I'd never run, and then ended up running and was like, oh, I'm all right at this.
mm.
If
Yeah,
you don't try new hobbies, then how do you know what you're good at?
it's true. It's very true. And even though me and Nath do a lot of running and stuff like that, I'm still nowhere near where I'd like to be. But I've got my first 100-mile race coming up June 22nd, and
Mhm.
I'm really excited about it because I'm entering a new realm of pain, probably, and suffering. But also, it's still new to me, and I know that physically I could get through it. But it's kind of like what you said about the why we run events. Like you're a little bit afraid because you don't know how you're going to come away from there feeling emotionally. Well, again, for me, it's physically, I think I could get through it. It's just I don't know where my head's going to go. I've never run anywhere near that kind of distance, and it's the same with Nace. Like I'm sure you feel the same, Nace. Like you're doing 870 miles of Welsh coastal path. Like you're going to be entering like some kind of weird twilight zone, but it's exciting because you may never do it again. And how lucky are we that we get to do that? You know, there's people out there who will never have that opportunity, and we get to get out and do it.
Nice one. Brings me on to they have got a chance to do it if they enter the Dragon Cannonballs 870. Team of 4. Do it with your mates.
Drop it in.
Absolutely
Do you know
not.
anything about that, Becca?
No, no.
No.
I'm not getting involved. Would you ever try a new sport though? Like, are you now in
I'm
your,
too old.
you're saying your old age? You're not too old.
No, you never too old.
Badminton, bowls.
Balls.
But
Balls.
would you never
Bingo.
would you never try out triathlon now? Would you never get on a bike or in a pool? You're still so young.
Possibly. I'd have to actually learn to swim though for that.
But I think that's what a lot of people do. A lot of people actually take up swimming. They don't know how to swim, and like getting swimming lessons as an adult is actually very common.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I had a pierced eardrum, and I couldn't get the proper ear thing, so I just didn't bother go swimming all the time.
What about cycling though?
Cycling, I'm fine with, but I've been scuba diving loads of times.
It'll be fine then. You can definitely swim.
Yeah, so yeah, I might do what Grant did and did the double Ironman in Snowdon. I don't know.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, see what happens this year.
Triathlon's always been.
I might be broken man this year.
Triathlon's definitely something I've always toyed with. Always toyed with. I'm always looking at road bikes. I love cycling. I love running. The
But
swimming.
what's stopping you though? Like, I'm almost grateful for my injury for forcing me into learning something new and learning a new discipline. But why do we just sit and be comfy? I mean, I know always doing bigger distances is making us uncomfy, but there's so many sports out there. There's so many sports. Like, why? I just want to try absolutely everything now.
Yeah, that's cool. I always growing up, I always dipped my toes in and out of like martial arts and stuff. Like I grew up doing I did a bit of kickboxing and taekwondo, and I've dabbled with a little bit of MMA, a little bit jiu-jitsu before I snapped my shin in multiple places. Whole different story. But I always loved the idea of combat sports. Like not, I wouldn't ever fight again, but I would go on the bags and stuff. I love that because for me, might be a controversial statement, but I'm open to debate. Martial artists, MMA, boxers, fittest people in the world. For me, I don't think there's anyone fitter personally because we talk about a mental game in this. I'd sooner run 200 miles than get in a ring with somebody who's adept at boxing because the mental game is so different. Like you're literally stopping somebody from punching you square in the face or kicking your body or taking you to the ground and attacking you. And it's the most physically and mentally demanding sport I've ever been involved in. So I always love that aspect of it. But triathlon as well. I'm not a bad swimmer. And I think it is something I'll probably look at doing because of what I've said about Ultra X next year. I'm going to be focusing my efforts on that. And I think the good thing about running is there's so many different types of it. Like running is running, but you can do road running, you can do trail running. It's countless trails that you can explore everywhere. And then obviously you've got your different types of running, so your different speed trainings. And by doing that, it varies it and keeps it from being boring. But yeah, you're right. I've tried climbing. I've dabbled with climbing. That's hard.
I think I just want to try everything. I just want it's such a hard thing. Like even with running, the decision to be like, do I want to be fast or do I want to be an ultra runner and do I want to be a trail runner or a road runner? There's so many decisions. And then as soon as you open up all the other sports, it's like there's too many things in the world that I want to do. And it's so hard to pick, but it's also so exciting about life. Like it gets me up in the morning, it makes me just go, oh, like what could we do today? Where could we go? What could we learn?
Yeah. Hell yeah. We get to do it. Try it.
We're very, very lucky.
There's a lot of people who can't. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Well, I think I don't know about you, Nate, but thank you ever so much for that, Becca. I mean, you've answered some amazing questions. It's been so informative and interesting as well because I had genuinely no idea about what you did. So this has been really interesting and fun. And yeah, I mean, I was going to ask one last question, just about your job. If you, what are your three most essential items that you would take with you on an expedition? If you could only take three things, what three things would you have in your bag?
Oh, that's such a tricky one. Some kind of very good painkiller, whether that's morphine or fentanyl lollipop, whether that's for recreational uses or pain relief, it's needed. Um, you know what? K-tape,
Oh,
like
okay.
K-tape, like I've worked a lot of ultra marathons. I worked the Run Britannia like Land's End to John O'Groats, and K-tape for blisters is top tip. Like when I've worked all these ultra marathons, the main thing you use is K-tape.
Hmm.
Um, and K-tape can also double up as plasters and all this kind of thing. So some morphine, some K-tape, and then some paracetamol. Just anyone got a headache, paracetamol. I'm having a bad day, paracetamol. That's not medical advice. But
No.
you know when someone's feeling rough on like it's kind of like a bit of a placebo effect sometimes.
Hmm.
Pop a
Fair.
paracetamol, it'd be fine.
I thought you would have said like mobile phone, or
Well, that's not in
something
the
like
medical kit, is it?
that. That's true. That's true. That's true. Oh, good. That's interesting. Well, Becca, thank you so much for coming on and for letting us pick your brains and talk your ears off. But I hope you've enjoyed it. Me and Nathan, I know we certainly have. It's been absolutely amazing and really, really appreciate you giving up your time to have a chat with us.
No, thank
Hopefully,
you so much for having me on here, and I'm always grateful when to be able to have a platform to speak about the things you want to speak about. So thank you for having me on.
No problem
amazing.
at all.
It's been so worth it. It's been really, really cool. And I wish you best with this really random injury. And I want to see some images of you wearing that Ultra X Finland medal in 8 weeks.
Yeah, she'll be there. And then hopefully see you guys at a wiry run soon.
Yes,
Yes, yeah, definitely.
definitely. Well,
All
thank you
right.
very much, Becca. And enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you very much. We'll speak soon.
Speak soon.
And that brings the episode to a close. Thank you to everybody who listened. Really hope you enjoyed that episode with Becca. I know me and Nathan thoroughly did. Just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who's listened, watched, and subscribed. Like, we really are overwhelmed with the support, and just yeah, keep listening because we've got some amazing guests to come in the future. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.